Well, Cole, it's Brian. Let's flip the script a little bit and talk about bad offense and pretty good defense. And you saw Mississippi State firsthand Saturday night. I had you on the podcast last week. I asked, do you think State is more of what they showed against LSU or more of what they showed against Arkansas? You said more of what they showed against LSU. Having seen them live and having seen what LSU did on Saturday, do you still hold to that?
That first game is just such an anomaly right now, Brian, because I look at the way that Pelini handled that game and managed that game, and it was egregious. It was almost irresponsible now when you think about it. From the standpoint of you have better personnel, yet you chose to be aggressive to the point of failure. And the amount of pressures, the amount of blitzes, games, stunts that you ran in that game was completely uncalled for. And you look back now and you say, how would that game have gone if they just, played base, played nickel, and just stayed off the entire game? We don't really know. But what I do know is that there are some distinct issues with what Mississippi State's trying to do that are going to be very difficult to correct. The offensive line's having trouble with three, and that is completely unacceptable. Pressure with 3 against 5 should literally never happen. I mean, you can put, Quentin Williams, Ndamukong Suh, and, Jonathan Allen. Those 3 should not be able to get pressure against 5 of us. It should never happen. I don't care what the circumstances are, because you've got at least 2 double teams, bare minimum. So it's just there's and you can have a double team where one guy leaves to help the other, so you can effectively double everybody at some point in that process, and it's just not happening. So I think you've got an issue with timing. I think you've got an issue with rhythm. And most importantly, there might be an issue with patience right now. And it doesn't really matter how much patience you have if you don't have, a pocket to be able to step up and deliver the football in, or have the patience to be able to stay in and throw the ball. But I talked to Chris Hatcher a lot, Stanford head coach, about going into that game. I'm like, teach me the air raid. Just talk to me about it. He won, he's player of the year playing at Valdosta State for Hal Mumme. Coach Leach was on that staff. Holgerson was on that staff. I talked to his quarterback, Dusty Bonner, who won the award twice, and playing for Coach Hatcher. And then, Hatch coaches now at Stanford. He's still running air raid. And it was funny that the consistent theme of those 2 guys were both patience. And it's all patience. And Dusty Bonner said it really, really cool, where he said, listen, man, when you're getting what they're getting last week and probably going to get again this week, it's just a chess match of patience. Like, are you going to be okay dinking and dunking for 65 plays a game, 60, 55 plays a game? If not, then you're going to try to press and you're going to make a mistake. And on the flip side of that is your defense that you're facing. Are they cool with you throwing 4-yard, 3-yard, 6-yard behind the line of scrimmage throws and then trying to make tackles 55, 60 times a game? If they are, then it just comes down to who has the best players. And if you're not, then that defense is going to come up. Somebody's going to get overly aggressive, try to make a play, and that's where you attack. Well, it doesn't feel like the last 2 defenses have gotten overly aggressive. And maybe they haven't had to because they've been able to pressure with 3. But I would probably lean towards the other side right now. And unfortunately, a lot of people probably categorize the system that way. And I agree with what Mike said last week. Listen, man, if dropping 8 and rushing 3 worked, I'd been in that business 25 years ago. I agree with that. However, I do think there's a small caveat to that. And it is, and I don't know the answer to this because this would take probably some more research than I ever had the time to do. But I think the 3 of us can probably assume one side of this. Has that ever happened to him with the kind of athletes that he's now going to be facing? As in, the 3 who are attempting to rush against 5 can actually make that happen on a regular basis. Or the amount of grass that can be covered by the 8 that drops is very different than what it has been previously. And if that's what I think it is, this might be a little more difficult than we thought it was going to be. But I think now you're going to begin to deal with some attitude issues. You're going to deal with, people kind of soul searching, leadership, looking over both shoulders in the locker room, wondering what's going to happen. We've already seen some comments in the media that don't necessarily feel too friendly. So those would be bigger concerns of mine right now than is the air raid ever going to work in the SEC.